Mati, for joining us today and sharing your beautiful experiences with us. Ometeo.
Thank you.
Mateo. And so before we begin this presentation, we want to be able to do an honoring opening to the 4 directions. So at this time, I want to invite all of you sisters, if there are any brothers out there, in joining me in opening the space with prayer. If you are at home, like I am, you can find a place, quiet place in your home. You have some medicine, feel free to light your medicine. You can close your eyes as we're doing our prayers and sending out our intentions. And in your mind, you can also, move to each direction. Because I have my little altar in front of me, I'm just gonna kind of stay in place. But intentionally, we will be sending those intentions to all 4 directions. So we'll begin with canto and prayer. Ometeo. Atina no yolo papa kimo wamaning canto kaweweka. Atino yolo papa kimo wama kesa ko aning kankan. Hey, 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 hey. Oh, oh, oh. Ometeo. We will begin by facing the east, the side of the direction of the rising sun. This is the direction of Quetzalcoatl, and in this direction we would like to honor our men, sending prayers to all of our men incarcerated, the men that are following these ways, these ceremonies. May Creator walk with you, make wherever you are. We need our strong men out there, so again, these intentions are for our men. Tlazocamatli, Huistlampa, Ometeo. Okay, now we will be facing the west direction. West direction. Atino yolo papa kimo wamaning kanto kaweweka. Atino yolo papa kimo wama chipeto tekning kankan. Hey, 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 hey. Ho, 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 Ometeo. At this time, we want to honor the west direction of the woman warrior. This is the direction where the sun sets, honoring all of our women that have passed to the long life, that have gone to Mictlampa, all the women that have given birth and sacrificed their lives in this way. Ometeo. Now we're gonna set our intention to the south direction. So we're facing the south direction. Atino yolo papa kimo wamaning kanto kaweweka. Atino yolo papa kimo wama witsilo pochli ning kankan. Hey, 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 hey. Oh, oh, oh. Ometeo. Sending out these prayers to the south, honoring the children, and also we honor the energy of voluntad. This is the energy that allows us to work hard when times are hard. The hummingbird is considered a warrior. because of his ability to work hard through hard times. And so at this point, we want to honor everything that's going on, you know, with the pandemic, with everything that people are going through and dealing with in their lives, you know, from burying sick, burying their relatives to just dealing with our own personal mental health issues. So Huitzilopochtli, the energy that allows us to heal, the energy that allows us to work hard when times are hard. So Ometeo. So at this point, we want to say Tlazo Kamatli Huiztlampa Ometeo. Now we're going to face or send our intentions to the north direction. Atino yolo papa kimo wamani kanto kaweweka. Atino yolo papa kimo wama teskatlipo kanin kankan. Hey, hey, hey. Oh, oh, oh. Ometeo. We want to send our intentions to the north direction. This is the energy of the Tezcatlipoca, which also represents Mitlampa and our ancestors. And so we want to call on our ancestors to be here present with us tonight as we share these beautiful medicine ways that have been passed on for hundreds of years. So we ask for our ancestors to be here with us, to allow us to remember and be able to pass on these beautiful ways to all of our relatives that are out there watching and learning and just sharing in these beautiful ways. Ometeo, so we say Tlazo Kamatli Mictlampa Ometeo. And with that, we also want to send our intentions and our medicine and our prayers to Omeyuacan, everything that's in around us, the universe, Father Sun, Mother Moon, and all the stars and all that we cannot see with our naked eyes, but we can definitely feel. And we ask that, you know, that Creator allows us to see, you know, with allow our pineal gland to receive and allow us to open, you know, and really see, you know, not with our eyes, but with what's in here. So Tlazo Kamatli, Omeyuacan, and everything that's above us. We want to also acknowledge Mother Earth for the sustenance, for maintaining us alive, giving us food and covering and shelter, and also asking for forgiveness because we're not doing enough. And just praying that, you know, with these collective intentions, we can begin to really do the work. So Tlazo Kamatli. And with that, I'm gonna hand it over to our maestra Trini.
Thank you.
Ometeo.
Ometeo, thank you. Thank you, Bernice. And thank you for doing what we always do when we do ceremony. We try to place ourselves in to be present, to be aware of what is around us and what's in us, and moving with that and aligning with that. So I just want to say thank you for all of you. It's so beautiful to see all your faces. I was so happy as you all came in. It was so good. Some people I haven't seen for a very long time. And as we know, the pandemic has kept us from doing Sweatlodge. And so that's been really hard for all of us. But we know that we still are connected regardless of whether we're physically present, we're present spiritually. And that's one of the reminders that that Sweatlodge can help us with, is that um, the energies that we need to be well, become balanced, to grow, and to move in a life
Yeah, yeah.
is is always possible. So we call on, as Bernice was saying, we call on all the energies to help us with that. Without the lodge, and because we, in some ways, we are a lodge. When we're connected to the earth, we are in ceremony as we walk and as we pray and as we sing. So again, thank you for being here. And as Melissa was saying, this, we were asked to do this presentation to kind of demystify the the practice that has, as was said, has been going on for many generations. And so those of us who come from these lands, from south of the border and above the border, all indigenous peoples, we know that there's always been practices that have been passed on to us that are meant to help us when we fall, and that can help us get up. And so it's for that reason that we're sharing this way. I don't know how many of you have ever been in a sweat lodge, but you may know that uh, the sweat lodge is one. It's basically a sauna bath, if you want to put it that way, but it's done in a ceremonial way where you bring in lava rocks, and you honor the four directions as you bring in the four doors, every time we bring in the rocks, and we sing and we pray. And um, not to be confused with, we will share, but this is not a therapy session, because really what we're trying to do is we're trying to become whole again. We're praying for the help and the wisdom and the honesty, really, to address and deal with the things that are blocking us, so that we can move those out of the way with the help of all the energies that we have, and all the energies that that are present in the lodge, so that when we leave that lodge, we're able to walk in the world in a way that we're supposed to, that we were born to, meaning in a way where we are whole, where we are who we are, and we don't have to hide what our feelings are, what our understanding is, what our how we, how what we've come here to do. So so it's with that again, this is a purification ceremony. And so it's done to, again, to release those things that are blocking us, to release those things that are not allowing us to become and to keep transforming. And it's a beautiful thing to know that our ancestors knew that and wanted us to remember that. And so with that, I just want to just say that we're each going to share our process, why we came to Lodge, and how it is that we were able to be a part of this collective of women to share Lodge with our sisters. So with that, I believe, Purple, you were gonna say a few words.
Mateo, Tlaxcalmatli. Thank you, Trini. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Today is a very powerful night. It's a beautiful full moon, and we are receiving that hummingbird medicine, um, even though we're not directly in the lodge. We're receiving that medicine. Um, and we're letting, tonight's moon really elevate that prayer. And so with that, I want to kind of ground us in our agreements for tonight. Just like in ceremony, we have some agreements. And for this Zoom call, just to kind of integrate ourselves into this platica, into this dialogue, if we can all ensure we have ourselves muted. That way we do not interrupt the speakers. So if you are able to, please check if you are muted at this time. And if you're next to your name on the screen, you can press mute. The mute button should be on the left corner of your screen next to the video. So we ask for you to mute yourself. If you feel welcome to, please join us on the chat. We'll try to have some time for questions, but join us during the chat if you have any questions and you don't want to forget. You can chat them and we'll try our best to answer them at the end of each section. We prioritize cyber safety, so please, if you agree to be on camera, we are being recorded, but it would be awesome to see who we're speaking to. So we invite you to join us on camera if you feel comfortable and safe. We are prioritizing lived experiences, and we know that any conversation maybe can bring up some emotion. So if at any time you feel that while we're sharing our healing stories or anything like that, and you want to take some time for yourself, please feel safe to do so. If you need to just step away, put us on mute. If you would like to just take some time for yourself, we will end the platica, the discussion, with a meditation at the end to kind of just ground us and we can all release collectively and rest peacefully tonight. And basically that's it. Just really join us by being, have an open mind, an open heart, and ready to receive. You decided to take the call on today to be with us tonight, and so be open to receive this medicine, and we hope that these words that we share bring you healing and bring you comfort to your heart, and that we're able to provide resources. So thank you so much for joining us, and with that I will pass it over to my sister Ceja for Karina.
Thank you, Purple. Hi, everyone. My name is Karina Ceja. I also go by Ceja. I am one of the firekeepers at the Hummingbird Lodge. And today I get the privilege to tell you a little bit about our creation story. So the year was 2013, and all of us here, we were already practicing these ancestral ways and in ceremony and other sweat lodges. And a couple of us were at one specific one, and with our own reflections and in conversation, we started to acknowledge, right, that in a lot of ways, how we've seen firekeepers have mostly been represented by males, right? So the firekeeping practice in a lot of spaces were mostly males. And we were at a all-women lodge, and we came to the realization, right, that the male gaze and the patriarchy and misogyny is all real. And even men that are on their healing path, that are practicing ceremonial ways, are still, struggling through that or navigating that. And we understood that the best way for us to make this space, right, our sweat lodge space, safe, was to make it by women, for women identified space, right? And so that was in early 2013. So Trini, our water pourer, she went on a mission, and she looked at various spaces, and I believe she met, or she knew, but she connected with Tony Littlehawk. Prayers up to him in the spirit world. And he was already, he had a sweat lodge here in the area, and he was practicing with co-ed and male sweat lodges. And so he understood, I think, that the necessity for a women's space. And so he offered us a sweat lodge day, or just his sweat lodge in general, to have our own ceremonies there. So we have our water pour, we have a sweat lodge, and we needed firekeepers, right? They're all interconnected and they make the ceremony happen. And so Trini reached out to her good friend Raquel, and Raquel has maybe 30, 40 years of firekeeping experience and training under her belt, in her skirt, in her skill set. And so she, she committed to training other women, because in reality, we didn't know any other firekeeper women, right? There weren't any that we were connected to. And so Raquel committed to, to train other women so that we could uphold this space for ourselves. And, come into later, Susie, who I give a lot of props to, she's the first one that really stepped up, and she was brave, because it's a huge commitment. And Susie took on that role, and then, she's my old housemate, so she asked me, and I was definitely scared. I was nervous. I felt like I couldn't do it, but it was a calling that I had to answer to, and I think her and I agreed on that, right? It's a space that we wanted to create and wanted to have in our community, so we stepped up. And so now we have all 4 of us for 13 months, as Raquel trained us for 13 months as to be firekeepers. Trini, held the lodge inside and pouring the water and the healing space for other women. And 7 years later, we have our own beautiful all women led, run space that's truly from start to finish put together by all women identified people. So we're very proud of that and very lucky and privileged to have that space. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And I'm gonna pass it to Raquel.
Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm really grateful that you all joined us today. And I think for me, when I used to sweat with Trini at another space and felt the importance of women serving women, and I got my firekeeping training from Linda Vallejo at Corazon Lodge. I started because she said that I needed to lighten the load that I was carrying, which was a lot of, I don't know, my heart was guarded, and I was real tough. Yeah, I can do this. But honestly, I didn't want to firekeep. I wanted to be in the lodge, not be doing firekeeping. But when you're asked to do something at ceremony, you do what is asked of you. So I did it for a whole year. I wasn't allowed to sweat with the women. I had to learn how to start the fire and take care of those rocks. And she told me that I would learn a lot from the fire, and I did. I learned so much, that your prayers are just as strong outside of the lodge as they are inside the lodge. And so when I trained Susie and Seha, I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of them because now they're teaching other women. And I think we're on our 3rd round of women learning how to firekeep, and it's a commitment. I go, not anybody can just step up and do it. You have to first come so that we get to know you. And then if you're interested and it's a calling to you, then you ask permission, you offer tobacco. There's a protocol. That's why we ask, if you're going to come to lodge, that you be invited by one of the ladies from the lodge, that they carry you through and show you the way. And for me, it was very important because I wanted women to feel safe when they came to pray. I've sweat a lot, with co-ed and, with men. And, I just prefer the women's because I feel it's more intimate. You get some deeper sharing and more healing. So I continue to serve now as a water pourer. I wasn't asked. I was asked by the circle to pour, and I had to go to my elders, which were at Tule River Yoka people, and ask what they thought of me pouring, that I was asked. Because I don't just say, okay, yes, that's just something you do. And my sweat leader and her sister, and they, because every year I go to this elders retreat there, and women's retreat, and for about 26 years now. And I asked, do you think I'm ready? They go, well, how long you been coming here? We think you're ready. And it's an honor for me, and always a teaching, because it's a different way than than the way Trini pours and the way that other people pour at other lodges. I just follow the way that I was taught. And but we'll go more into those, our story. I just wanted to focus more on how we came to be an all women serving lodge, you know, to recreate that safety. That's all.
I think it comes back to me now.
Yes.
So yes, thank you for, that was so clear. That summed up a lot of things that we've done over the last 7 years together. And so I also have to say again, as was said, this is not easy. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of dedication. And that's the beauty of what I've been seeing, is that Raquel and I are among the oldest women who serve at the lodge, but the young women are at this age are becoming so strong. We've seen them transform. They'll tell you their story of what they went through to do that. But it's a beautiful thing to know that Sweat Lodge, when it's done humbly, when we follow the medicine, when we let it talk to us and teach us, it can do so much to heal us, literally. And I know the word heal is a tricky word in Western medicine, because supposedly only if you have a medical certificate, can you heal. And I'm not calling myself a healer, but I'm just saying that the medicine in the lodge, if we facilitate it, because we're just facilitators, can do so much cuando se entregan, when people come with their heart, their heart open, and their mind, and their willingness to, again, do the hard steady work of looking in the dark. Because when you're in the lodge, you are in the dark. Nobody's seeing you. Who is seeing you and who you're talking to is not really to the other women. You're talking to the fire. You're talking to Great Spirit. You're opening yourself up to the energies that, again, as was said, they're invisible, but we know that they're there. And so it's so beautiful when that happens. And we've seen it over and over again, that women come and their experiences change, because they are able to change and able to see themselves differently, as I said, even in the dark. So so for my part, just to start with our healing stories, our process, the common thing seems to be that all of us were afraid to step up into these roles. And I think that's telling in itself, that we can, I think if you look at any of us, you'll see that we've taken on really important things. We've done a lot in our lives, but somehow that echo of feeling less, or feeling small, or feeling incapable, or feeling somehow like we aren't worthy, that's something that gets fed to us in the world we live in, and as women in particular. And that is a really painful way to live. It's a painful way to live, and we don't have to live that way. And so part of the courage that we get from each other as women is when we see each other growing. And as I was about to say, for my part, I was already sweating. I lived in Chicago. I moved away from my family here in LA, and lived in Chicago for 17 years. And partly it was because I didn't feel a part of my family anymore. I had been disowned at 21 for going to school. And again, the feeling was that I was doing something wrong because I was a female, and what business did I have trying to go to school. And so that broke a lot of parts in me. This feeling of not belonging and not being enough to even have to be understood by the people who cared for me, whose family I was in. And so part of that, I lived a long time that way. And in Chicago, I started going to Sweat Lodge, and I remember the first time I went to Sweat Lodge, I I can't explain other than when the door closed and it was dark and it was hot, I felt like I was at home. I felt like I had come home. And when you're in the lodge, that that the that you're in your mother's womb, because the earth is our mother and we're back in our mother's womb. and and that's what I felt. I felt so protected, so loved, so comforted there. And that was the beginning of my connection to lodge. But it was in 1998 when I met, my husband introduced me to a family in on the Navajo res. um, and it's the Dene family, the Anthony and Dolores Lee, and they adopted me spiritually into their family. And my dad and my mom, my dad is a medicine man, and so he decided in 2000 that I should start running lodge. And my first thought was, no, you have no idea, I can't do this. And and I can say now that it's one of the most beautiful things that I've learned to embrace, because it embraced me and now I embrace it. And he also told me that he was very clear that they're Dene, and that's a very specific tradition to it, you know, to their people. But he embraced me spiritually, which meant he encouraged me to find my way and to find my teachings. And so at the lodge, initially I would do it exclusively Dene way, but now I'm finding there's a lot of what we have in common too is we all seek out teachings. And so I've been able to connect with a number of teachers. And in just last March, I was able to go to Mexico and was there learning from curanderos in Mexico, in Morelos. And all of them, that was the first time I had gone to a temazcal, which is not, we have an inipi, which is a sweat lodge with willows and blankets. And the temazcal is basically, you might as well be in an oven because you're in like an adobe structure that looks like a dome, and you crawl in. And it again, it's the most soothing thing that I've ever been in. And again, all of the curanderos, they all have their energy, they all have the way that they sing, and they pray, and they hold space. But all of them, I would say, are just they know how to move that energy for uh, transformation and wholeness, because that's what it's for. So um, that that would be my story. And now, again, it's been now 20 years of running lodge, and but now I feel so much better because I don't hold lodge by myself. I hold it with Raquel, I hold it with Karina, I hold it with Purple, Isa, Susie, Bernice, you know, all these women. And so we all, it's like you feel like Atlas and you're holding up the world. Well, you're not holding it up by yourself anymore. So anyway, it's just a beautiful thing. So I want to say thank you for allowing me to share, and now I pass it on to Raquel.
Okay, I guess I can say that I came to Lodge initially when I was with Teatro de la Esperanza in Alamosa, New Mexico. It was the first time I went to Lodge, and I really remember that feeling of you know, my mother, I grew up in a Christian environment, and my mom would say, "Híncate y pídele a Dios." And it didn't work for me. But when I went into Lodge, y me hinqué, and I felt the earth under me, and there was no judgment, no heaven or hell, and embracing all relations, that's when I knew I was in the right place. And after that, I worked with a man named Jerry Teo, National Latino Fatherhood Program. He was my maestro for 3 years, and he took me to Tony Portillo's lodge out there in Long Beach, or San Pedro, I mean. And then from there, I just was always in search of another lodge, whatever I'd hear. I guess you can call me a sweat hog, because if I was invited, I was there. And I ended up going to Corazon Lodge in Highland Park. And that's when Linda asked me to do the fire keeping. And I learned so much from that fire. And at that time, I was like young and beautiful like Karina and all those young women, you know, where I thought I was tough and I was like carrying those rocks and they're heavy, you know, and I was tough and I just got tougher, you know, and um, but from there I went with Linda Vallejo to Southern Door because they wanted a women's lodge there. But when I was invited to the Tule River by Olivia Chumacero, I went to the elders gathering and it was so beautiful the way they honored the elders and they brought dances to them. There was Azteca dancers and Tongva dancers and dancers from up north, from all over to honor the elders in that way. And that's the way of the Yoka people. And that's the way I learned to pray, honoring our elders. And I honor my elder Marcia Hunter, who taught me these ways and that land and those people. And like I said, I feel like I'm overpaid for all that I've learned from her and from those teachings, you know. And when I line the ladies up, I line them up by age, and everybody's like, I don't say my age, you know. But you know, it's like we have to embrace our age. You know, when I came in to lodge, I was like full of rage, angry at my mom, angry at men, angry at the world. But little by little, you know, because this is my way of life. I walk the red road every day, not just when I go to ceremony, like how I honor my neighbors. I was gone for a month. They missed me. You know, it's just like because I connect with people. It's just the rageful self se me quitó, como like the layers were coming down as I entered, you know, the lodge, and I did, you know, serve the way that I serve, and honoring my elder who is sick right now. And I ask you for prayers for her so that she continues to get stronger in her health, and that she keeps teaching me all the time. I learned so much for her in this time that I spent with her. But that's what we got to do. Like I took care of my parents, you know, and was there for their last breath, because those are the teachings, you know. We have to take care of our familias, our loved ones, and not just our familias, our those that we adopt, those that we that come into our path. You know, all of you sisters are my sisters, you know, whether I'm praying with you or not. We're in prayer right now, just talking about these ways and embracing these ways. And although I was, you know, we do a lot of songs in the lodge, and now I'm learning my way, you know, the Nahuatl way, those Nahuatl songs that like Bernice sings and Belen and all these sisters. I'm learning all these new songs, and those are our prayers also, all those songs, you know. So I'm just grateful, 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 grateful for these ways, you know, that I don't have to live with that punishing God, that my God is all encompassing, you know, the stars, the universe, the creepy crawlers, those that swim in the ocean, all of it, you know. And in this time, you know, people say like, wow, you know, well, how you know, I'm not all like COVID, no, because there's a prayer thread that we call it a willow bundle, because when you have a lodge, the willows bring it together so sincerely. And it's the same thing with the sisters that we surround ourselves with. You can start your own prayer thread, you know, with the sisters that it could be 2 or 3, like 3 or 4, you know, or whatever, but that we pray at the same time every morning and every night. Sure, it's not perfect and you don't do it all the time, but when you can, you're connected. That is your bundle. That is what sustains you, is this sisterhood. And that's how I feel about Hummingbird Lodge. Like, even though I'm not with you, I'm with you right here in my corazón. Like I pray for you, like you pray for me. And we walk together through these difficult times, and we don't walk alone. We have each other. But I could name all the lodges that I've been to. There's been way too many. I've been to Sundance and supported people, but it wasn't my calling. That's why I'm saying, if you're a firekeeper, you want to be a firekeeper, it's got to call you. In my case, it didn't call me. I was told to do it, and I'm grateful that I did, because now we have this lodge serving women where, like, when I hear Seja teaching, I guess my corazón goes, because I feel like I don't have to do anything because they already know. And so, like, it's a good day to die. Like, if I die today, I know this is going to go on, the next generation. And I hope it continues. I saw somebody say something about their nieces, bring them on. And yeah, when you're on your own, you don't come. But, you know, I wish we had a lot more time, because like I went to Bernice's daughter's rite of passage ceremony. We need to bring those ceremonies back, sisters. We got to bring them back, and honoring, if, you know, if my mom, I don't know, our you know, being a daughter of an immigrant, first generation, you know, our parents did the best that they can, that they could with us. And sometimes they make big mistakes, and we have to be more forgiving. And what came to me in ceremony was, you need to go home and be with your mom. And we were like this, imagínense. But at the end, we were like this. As I wiped her and changed her diaper, just like she did for me, all the love that I withheld for so many years just flowed. And that's what it was. It's just this process. It brought me to that place, you know, being in ceremony, supporting that Sundance, taking care of that fire, now being in pouring water. I'm new at it, and I'm still learning. I don't say I'm a shaman or, you know, I'm a water pourer. I don't tell the world. It's something very personal and internal. I just, I have a lot of love, and I want to share it in whatever way I can help, you know, to heal those wounds and fly free like that hummingbird. I like that warrior. We're all warrior women. We're all blessed. That's all I have. I'm Mateo.
Thank you, Raquel, for sharing your story.
Karina.
Yes, can you hear me? Okay. So my internet might be a little shoddy, but so my healing journey started about 10 years ago. I was taken to my first sweat lodge by a friend, and you know, I feel like that was the beginning of me initiating like a reconnection with my ancestors and with myself, with the elements, the four directions, right? And so it wasn't until that year of 2013 where I was kind of like coming out of this really, it was my first relationship, and I was coming out of it. It was super abusive, super toxic, super, you know, all the worst things you can think of. And I was in a place where like I knew that it was going to end soon, and I think that at that very moment is when I got asked to fire keep. And as much as like I was scared and I didn't want to do it, I knew that something called to me, like Raquel said, right? Like you need to do this. And I feel like ultimately, right, is one of those things that really just saved me that year, because I was able to really focus just on my healing, right? Coming out of this like really terrible situation and that I experienced with another woman was having me to kind of reevaluate, right? Not just how I, you know, things about myself or what happened, but also just in general, like, you know, going to the root of things, childhood stuff, like, you know, healing things with my mother, you know, and so the fire, I feel like, really helped me to be able to navigate and understand those really fiery emotions that I was feeling leaving this like abusive relationship, right? From like resentment to anger and rage, right? Not just towards the person, but even towards myself for feeling like I allowed this to happen. And so so that happened for like the first 13 months. That was just everything that I needed, right? It was kind of laid out for me. And I always, you know, say that because it was consistent. Like every month I was at lodge, every month there was, you know, I was at fire keeping, and neither one, myself or Susie, I think, were interrupted by like our moons or anything. It was just so perfect. It was so perfect. And, you know, aside from that, I think what I didn't expect that was also so beautiful about the space was the sisterhood aspect of it, right? Of like putting in all the work, like getting there to like set up, to you know, all the little things, the details that build up to your ceremony, and even afterwards, right? Breaking bread, taking down everything, putting it away, and so many people that have crossed paths, and I see a lot of you here, and it makes me so happy because I know we haven't been able to sweat, and so I want to highlight that too. When, you know, now that we don't have it, I think we, you know, me myself, I look to the tools that I've gained from ceremony, right? To using my medicine, using my songs, my sisters that I rely on, my friends, right? And you can have that healing space for yourself. It doesn't always have to be like this official, ceremony, which is always beautiful, but not everybody has that privilege, right? Not everybody has access to it. And I totally understand that part, that we're very privileged and very lucky to have it. And so ultimately, it's that healing was happening interchangeably with all the women that were coming, right? My healing with other women's healing, in the listening, the sharing, that you build the connection, you build, this relation to knowing that I wasn't alone, right? That other women have gone through this and other women have survived. And I think that was like so powerful for me to know that. I think one of the biggest reasons was because growing up, I was a big tomboy and I didn't have a lot of girlfriends. I didn't have a lot of girls around me, and so I feel like that was like that moment of when I needed my feminine to heal. I think both, masculine and feminine, but that feminine really just came through and I was able to embrace it and be surrounded by it, in all the ways. And so ultimately, right, walking on this journey to feeling whole, because I had felt so shattered to pieces and broken that I think it's really helped me to get to where I am today, 7 years later, right? So so I'm very, very grateful for this space, to the women, my mentors and my sisters that I've gotten burnt by pestañas and eyebrows because we're taking care of fire and all of those things that are just so bonding and so deep that you just take with you forever. So thank you. I think that's all for me. Thank you for listening. And I pass it to Purple.
Bernice.
Bernice. Thank you, Bernice.
Pues, Ometeo, first of all, I just want to say that I'm very thankful for being in this space. Thank you to all you beautiful sisters for allowing us to tell our stories and share with you all the beautiful treasures that we've received throughout the years with the work that we've put in and what we've learned. And so a little bit about my personal story and how I got to this specific lodge. Because I had been introduced to lodge many years ago, maybe about around the age of 16. And I remember my first experience was at the, I think they used to call it Red Winds with Ernie Longwalker. And it was a beautiful experience, very traditional, where men and, we pretty much just went in with our towels, but when the women would come out, the men would turn around and we're not allowed to see the women as we would go into the lodge. So that was a beautiful first introduction. Many moons later, I had been introduced to this red road, but, as most teenagers, you kind of sidetrack and you want to experience life and you want to party and you want to, do what most teenagers do. And so, after I had my family, my children, and I separated from my partner, and I just, just experimented or just found myself in relationships. I realized that I was doing a lot of damage to myself because I hadn't fully healed from past experiences. And so I got to the point where I feel like I was doing more damage to myself than good. And even though I was aware of lodge, I was still looking for a safe space. And I realized that, I tried the co-ed lodge, and although it's beautiful to experience, sweat with men, I, did experience that some sweat lodges were, not necessarily that people were going to hook up, but that was an experience for me where, you know, I got hit on, and that was not my intention for going to sweat. And so I was a little discouraged. And I remember that I had talked to Purple, and she had mentioned that there was, she shared with me that there was a women's sweat. And I remember that day, I was just like, you know, I had put out all these prayers when I was going through some hard times. And I remember just feeling like I went into a rabbit hole, because during that transitional time in my life, I discovered meditation, the power of meditation. And I realized that through meditation, a lot of the prayers and intentions that I was putting out were just little by little, just kind of coming into and I was, you know, walking into spaces of, you know, the prayers and intentions that I had set out for myself. And I remember that day Purple couldn't make it. And I felt a little nervous about walking into a space that I didn't know anyone. And I remember, you know, just feeling very like gung-ho, and I'm gonna do it. And, you know, I need it. My spirit's asking for it. And I went to this Hummingbird Sweat, and I remember I sat in the sweat lodge, and I was hearing all these aunties. And I remember this auntie Beatrice Kanaziwe. She came to visit, and I heard all these women talking about their sobriety. But I remember also realizing how much I was damaging myself, because I was going through all this pain and I didn't know how to deal with it. And I was also, you know, doing a lot of self-damage to myself. And I was very shy, and I did not want to, you know, say too much. And I just, you know, there was something internal that was just like not letting me sit well. And I remember remember raising my hand, and at the same time that I just wanted to put my heart out, the door opened, and the sun was just like right in my face. So when I, you know, exposed myself, it was kind of like it, you know, it wasn't in darkness, but it was like I was literally like my spirit was naked, and I was just like pouring my heart out. And I remember feeling the support and the love of all these tias, you know, that were just embracing me. And I just didn't want to let them go. And so, you know, many moons later, you know, here I am. And I remember one of the tias that kind of reached out to me was Raquel. And she just kept like calling me and checking in with me. And, you know, and then we started these beautiful rituals of hiking, walking, and drinking our coffees. And, you know, I still look forward to those coffee hiking days. And it's just, I've been just, you know, on this amazing trip down this rabbit hole, and it's taking me on all these beautiful journeys. And I have to say that the Hummingbird Lodge, and just getting to know all these women and being invited to become a fire keeper has been a, you know, it's been a life-changing experience for me. But most importantly, you know, the fact that this is a blueprint that's being created. You know, my daughters were not raised going to church. They don't know any other type of spirituality. And you know, this is a blueprint that is gonna, you know, be passed on to them. If they ever find themselves in a situation where they just need to pray and they just need to release, and they need the aunties and the women, they need to be held by them. You know, this is definitely a blueprint that's going to help, you know, in their healing experience. So, you know, it's just been a wonderful experience, sharing space with all these powerful women. So thank you for allowing us to share our stories, and thank you Trini, thank you Raquel, thank you Ceja and Susie and Purple and Isa. You know, they've all been wonderful teachers to me. So Ometeo.
Oh, Mateo, thank you, Bernice, for sharing your story. My name is Purple. I am one of the fire keepers at the Hummingbird Lodge. So honored to be here and share my story. And you know, I'll start with just how it began for me. I started going to lodge. I want to say 11 years ago. I was 24. I'm 35 now, and I went during a very like um, breaking point in my life. I had my friend Yuri had invited me because I had gotten out of a very toxic, abusive relationship, and I had a lot of trauma that came with that relationship, and that a lot of trauma that I had experienced as a child that I wasn't addressing. And I was numbing myself with alcohol at that age. I thought, oh, it's just, I'm only drinking socially, right? Like I don't have a problem. But I didn't realize that I had a problem until I started going to lodge, and really realizing what I was putting into my body. And, you know, I remember hearing about lodge, and it wasn't until I went. And when I went at that time, it wasn't an all women's lodge. It was, we were sweating with the women, but we had men fire keepers. And it was at a different location, but at that time, you know, I still felt safe, and I needed it, but I wasn't going frequently. I was going, you know, when I was invited, and it wasn't until the Hummingbird Lodge came to be that Raquel came into the picture and trained Susie and Ceja, that I committed to, and that was in 2013, that I committed to really going every month, and really being more disciplined. A lot had changed since I had started going, and I decided like that I really wanted to commit and to my growth and my spirituality. And I had just found something that was really feeding my soul, and being able to hear out lodge other women tell their story really helped me to tell my story, really helped me and gave me the courage to say, oh wow, I'm not alone. Like, other women have gone through this, and older women, my elders, hearing their stories, and that brought me a lot of comfort, and most importantly, it gave me a lot of hope that, you know, I would get through what I needed to get through. And one of the things that Trini always would say that stuck with me is that there's no way around it, there's only through it. And so I remember those times where things would get difficult, and I didn't want to feel the pain, or I didn't want to face the trauma or the hurt from that relationship or from what was going on at that time in my life. I wanted to just like not go through the emotions or the feelings of it. But when I did, and when I faced them, and when I surrendered, is when the healing really happened. And Lodge really, really helped me with that. But my healing really came to be when, you know, I had been going to Lodge for already like 5 years. And Ceja and Susie were keeping fire. They did it for 2 years in a row, like consecutively. And if they weren't able to go to lodge, then we wouldn't be able to have a sweat. And so they asked, you know, who's ready to step up and be trained to be a fire keeper. And I kind of felt like this pressure And I was like, oh, and like this feeling of like, oh man, I've been coming here for 5 years. Like I really need to step it up. And like just this push, right? No one was pushing me, but that little voice inside of me and, my ancestors and the medicine really saying like, hey, you're ready and you're worthy of receiving this medicine. And so I was kind of hesitant because in being trained to be a firekeeper, I had to commit to 13 months. And that meant that I had to hold space. And that meant that I couldn't really sweat. It meant that I had to keep the fire and tend the fire. And I remember the very first day, it's ingrained in my memory, in my heart, and I will never forget. My very first day of keeping fire, my very first day of training, it was Susie, it was Sehan, it was Raquel, and it was me and Isa that were getting trained. And I didn't wear the proper shoes. I brought my sweat shoes, my huaraches. I didn't bring closed-toe shoes. And I, started cutting the logs because we needed to prepare the fire, and I fell. And then I scraped myself pretty bad on my leg, and I was just like, my hands, it was hot. We had to wake up early, be there before everybody. And I was like, whoa, what am I getting myself into? This is hard work. And I remember we had to prepare the fire, and we each chose a direction. And I remember I was in the direction of the north, and I was on the outside of the pit. And, we had to light our fire and we had to pray. And, I kept praying, but my fire, my side wouldn't light. And so I was stressing out because I was like, why isn't it turning on? Why isn't it turning on? And I look around and everyone else's fire was already turning on. And Isa, it was her first time too, but her fire was like, woo, all lit, and mine just wouldn't turn on. And, Raquel was coming behind me and she's like, you got to pray harder. You got to pray harder. And I was in my mind, like, I am praying hard. Like, I am praying hard. And I remember just like praying and saying, okay, what do I have to do? Like to pray harder and really focus and, just tears started rolling down my eyes. And what I realized that day was that the fire that I was lighting was a reflection of how I was feeling inside. I was feeling like my fire inside was dim, that I wasn't tending to it the way that I needed to. And like just a light bulb turned on for me. And my fire didn't light. It didn't. I tried really hard and it just didn't. And Raquel came over to me and she said, hey, sometimes that's going to happen. It's not going to light, but that's why you have your sisters here to support you. And, their fire is going to help light your fire. And that's how it happened. And that's how it's been. There's times where, my fire will light and it'll just, whoom, and there's times when my sisters need support or it switches off, right? Because healing is not linear. Healing is a wave, a roller coaster, a circle. We don't have control over our healing, but what we have control over is our prayer. It's what we feed our spirit, who we surround ourselves with, the medicine we use. And, since then, my prayer has been stronger. Like I've learned to call in, my ancestors, to call in my grandma, to call in my grandpa. Now my dad is an ancestor, and now I call in my dad for that support. I call in my friend. And my relationship with that fire, it really helped me find that worth in myself. And at that time, simultaneously, I was learning to hold space and I was asked to facilitate women's circle. And if it wasn't for learning how to tend that fire, I don't think I would have been able to facilitate a women's seating circle. So simultaneously, I was learning how to hold space and how to really help others nurture their fire. And, I'm so grateful for the medicine that I have received at Hummingbird Lodge for the Sisterhood. I've seen countless of women come and go. And, I've seen countless of women, I've seen their growth and I've seen them come, sad and leave with like smiles. And, I've seen women where I don't get to hear again, but I like pray and I hope that, you know, they're in a good place. And, you know, everybody's journey is going to be different, and everybody's healing is going to be different. But as long as you have that circle of support, and as long as you have those resources, like even if you drift, because I've drifted, it's been 11 years. And even though I had those resources, I've drifted, but I always came back because I always had my anchor. I always had my sisters. I always had my elders to say like, hey, bring it back, right? Bring it back. And, you know, it's been a really beautiful journey to be able to be part of something so beautiful, and also of like learning how to reclaim these ways, and learning how to you know, teach others how to reclaim these ways. And that's something that, you know, is very sacred, and healing is sacred. And I feel really blessed and honored that I was able to receive that, because going in, I was broken. I felt broken. And now I don't feel that way. I feel like, you know, I'm whole. And even though I'm still healing, you know, I still feel whole. And so that's something that, you know, I really thank, you know, these ways for, and I really thank the Hummingbird Lodge and my elders for being able to be here, and, you know, just honored to have these ways, and to learn that, you know, these ways are accessible to us, and that they're in the community for us to reclaim and to heal. And so that's my story. And so I'll pass it over to Bernice.
Okay, so I know there have been a lot of questions about, you know, healing modalities during these times that, you know, unfortunately we're not able to have lodge because of, you know, everything that's going on with, you know, people getting sick. And so we thought about sharing some resources for those that are looking for a healing spaces. And so we wanted to share some of these resources with you all for folks that are interested in continuing to work on themselves. And so I don't know if you're able to put it up on the screen, Purple. And so here's a couple of resources that Purple's gonna share with us. If you're out there looking for, you know, to connect, we wanted to share information. We have a maestra out there who's does meditation Zoom meetings or Zoom meditations. Let me see, I can't see it. So she, I'm sure many of you know Estela Cruz. She's been facilitating these meditation Zoom get-togethers since the beginning of the pandemic. She's been nonstop. And I believe now she's holding space Mondays, Tuesdays, and Saturdays, 8 a.m. On the dot. So if anyone is interested in reaching out to Stella, we do have her information here. You can reach her via Facebook to Stella Cruz. That's her Facebook. You can find her under Stella Cruz, or her IG, Medicine Pathways. And again, if you're looking for meditation sessions via Zoom, I believe she might have like a cost. I believe she accepts donations for this work. We also have, for folks that are interested, we just got back from Mexico about like yesterday and a day ago. And so we do have these retreats that have been we just started doing it about 2 years ago with the maestra Yolanda Porcayo and Lupita Lares from Mexico, Morelos. Returning to your roots, retreat to Mexico. And the purpose of that is, again, you know, when we talk about coming back to these traditional ways, as you all know, these are things that we definitely have to rescue if we don't want to lose them. And so in efforts to rescue these ways, we started creating these retreats to Mexico to connect to the land and connect to ceremony ways. And so some of the things that we do during this retreat, we do the traditional temazcal, which is sweat lodge, the way it's practiced in Mexico and in the southern regions. And we also travel to different ancestral ceremonial grounds. And so if anyone is interested in receiving more information, you can find us on Facebook under Nawi Teowitsi, and I believe the information is there. On Instagram, Teowitzilin, or you can email us at nawiteowitzin@gmail.com or regandosemillas@gmail.com for anyone that wants more information about that. And then lastly, we were also hosting Drum Circle. I don't know if you have that one, Purple, but if you don't, I can just read it out of, let me see.
I don't have one.
You don't have it? Okay, let me look for it. Oh, okay. So we also have a drum circle that I collaborate with Estela Cruz. And I believe we're gonna have one coming up this Sunday. And we realize that, you know, we're under a pandemic, and because, you know, people, it's been really healing for folks to just come together. We will be hosting it this Sunday. And the information, let me see if I can get to that information. We do host it at and for folks that want more information about this, you can also email regandosemillas@gmail.com. These are cantos, and again, in efforts to just learn a little bit about our cantos. You know, we do Spanish, English, Nahuatl cantos. Folks share other cantos from other nations. But if anyone is interested, I believe we're gonna have cantos, and I'm not too sure if it's 3 to 5:30 or 4 to 6. But if anyone is interested, feel free to email regandosemillas@gmail.com, or you can email Stella at Medicine Pathways Healing Arts@gmail.com. So again, these are for cantos. We get together Sundays, every other Sunday, so we will convene this Sunday at Roosevelt, the Lakeside Park. So if anyone wants more information about these resources, feel free to email us or IG us or send a Facebook message.
If anybody has any resources for during these times that, you know, you've been doing, if it's a meditation or prayer circle or anything like that, you can go ahead and type it on the chat. I also went ahead and typed the Silmar Hummingbird Lodge email for those who were asking to inquire regarding our location. And right now we're not doing sweats. But once we do, we will send an email out. So if you want to be added to that list, feel free to email us at the Silmar Hummingbird Lodge at gmail.com, which is on the comments, and we can add you to that list. We also send out resources. The last email we just sent an update. But at this time, we have a few more minutes, and I'd like to open it up for maybe 2 to 3 individuals who have like a burning desire or a question regarding our platica before we close it out with the meditation.
Actually, I wanted to make just a really quick announcement before we go into the questions. We're going to be putting in a link into the chat, which is a survey of today's event. So we would really appreciate it if you take a minute or two before, completely leaving the meeting today and give us some feedback and just, the importance of making sure that these presentations and sharing of stories is important, and it really would be helpful if we get some of your feedback. So Tlazo Kamati, and again, the survey link is in the chat. Thank you.
And if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and you can go ahead and ask.
Hi, I just want to say I feel really blessed to have been able to listen in. My camera has been off because I've been driving, but I have this minute to turn it on and just say thank you for doing this work. And a friend of mine shared the flyer to to join and see what was happening. And I look forward to hopefully one day being having the privilege to be in a place like that, held by women like yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Please email us so we can add you to the list, and we hope that you do join us.
Hi, everyone. Can I comment, or do I have to raise my hand? Sorry. This is Maya.
Go ahead.
Hi. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for this space. I'm really excited to have come across your event via Instagram. My only question is, would you consider having the same charla somehow in Spanish? Because I actually, I'm part of a doula group in San Francisco, and we do our work on a volunteer basis to serve immigrant women in San Francisco. And a lot of our doula members are monolingual Spanish speaking, and I know that they would love something like this. And I think that having it in English sometimes can be, also isolating a group of women. So I would love if there's a way, and I'm happy to translate, if you need translators, to have this amazing space for our fellow Latina women serving other Latina women in different capacities que no hablan el inglés y que no hablan otro idioma más que español.
That would be great. If you can contact us at our Silmar Hummingbird Lodge email, then we can take it from there.
I would love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate, I know I can be a little bit sort of, with a critical eye, and I'm sorry I'm not showing up my face, but I will next time. But I'm really excited, and I want to wish everybody a great, rest of the year.
Good. Thank you.
Anybody else have a
I have a question. If I have 2 friends that are two-spirit, and one of them does feel comfortable wearing a skirt, but the other one doesn't, what would happen in that case? And I have another friend also that she suffers of PTSD, if I'm not mistaken, and she just tries, but she just can't wear a skirt. And I know I heard Trini on Wednesday saying, why they like for us as women wear skirts, but sometimes that's out of their control, their hand. Thank you.
Yeah, we understand that first of all, Two-Spirit are welcome to our lodge anytime, all the time, and so that's not an issue. We did in recently. I did get asked that question, and obviously it's that's the preference, that's the protocol, and I guess it would just be a matter of talking and seeing how we could work it out, because obviously we want people, the most important thing is to have access to healing. So it's not about being we don't want to be difficult or anything like that. We want to facilitate that. So we should probably hear from them and see what it is that we can work out. Raquel, did you want to add anything?
I just want to say that everybody is welcome. You can't really turn anyone away from prayer. Some ladies, they just wrap a towel around them. It's just, trust me, when I first started sweating, I did not want to wear a skirt. And then Linda Vallejo taught me about why we wear the skirt. And then she used to help me. She used to make me explain to women why we had to wear a skirt. But it's just, the skirt symbolizes also the circle at the bottom. It's like our Mother Earth, and we're honoring our Mother Earth. We're allowing our body to breathe. When you sweat, I don't wear underwear or bra. You let your body breathe in there. And that's why, you come out of the lodge and you're cleansed, you're rebirthing. But if it's too much of an issue for you not to wear a skirt, we're not going to turn you away. You come to pray, we work with you. That's just the way we walk this path. Doesn't matter what color you are. Some sisters, because they come with jewelry. Some African American women came with big old nails, all these earrings and that. What are we going to say? No, you can't go in. We ask you to please not wear jewelry, but if you absolutely have to, we work with you. It's just come pray. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you,
Mhm.
Mateo.
Mateo.
So we're going to close out the circle. Thank you for the questions and comments. If you have any last burning desires, please go ahead and put them in the chat. This moment, I'm going to ask you to just find a place to ground yourself, and we're going to close it out with a prayer. And if you feel safe, if you can close your eyes, take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take another deep breath in and exhale. Slowly land into the space. And if there's anything that you need to take care of after this call, I ask you to let that go so that you can be fully present. Take a deep breath in and exhale. One more time. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Ometeo tlasukamatli. Thank you, Creator, for this night, for these sisters who are here, who have been holding space with us. I ask for you to continue to guide us as we walk forward in our path of healing. I ask for you to continue to heal our hearts, to continue to heal our path so that we can continue moving forward with grace, with resilience, with strength, with courage, that we reclaim these ways, that we reclaim our power, that we reclaim our voice, that we continue speaking with love and with truth, that we speak truth to power, that we continue dreaming, that we continue putting our dreams into reality, that we continue putting our visions into reality, Creator, that we continue believing that we are worthy of those visions, that we continue dreaming that healing is real and that it's accessible in our community. I pray for the men in our community, Creator, that they continue to have spaces like this for them to heal, Creator. I pray for the men to take care of the women, to take care of the elders, to take care of the children. I pray for the men to take care of their hearts, to take care of their healing, that they speak truth to power, that they speak with love, with integrity, and with dignity, Creator. I pray for the elders in our community, Creator, that they continue sharing their wisdom, that they continue to guide us, that they continue speaking their truth to power, that they continue marking our hearts with their words and encouraging us to continue moving forward, and that we pass these ways to the next 7 generations, Creator. I pray for the health of our community. I pray for the health of our elders, Creator. I pray for the women that weren't able to come to this call, Creator. I pray that you hear their prayers, Creator. I pray for every sister on this call right now, Creator, that you hear their prayers, that you hear their hearts, that you answer their needs, Creator, that you help them define what those needs are, that you help them heal, and that they know they are loved, that they are worthy, Creator. I pray for the children. I pray for the children for their safety, Creator, that they have food in their bellies, Creator. I pray for them. I pray that they have beds to sleep on, Creator. I pray for them. I pray that they continue feeding their hearts, feeding their minds, Creator. I pray that they know these ways, that they get a clear path to these ways, Creator, that we continue passing this knowledge over to them because they are our future, Creator. I pray for their safety. I pray for their health. I pray and I give thanks for every element, Creator. I pray for the earth that needs our love. I pray for that earth that we walk on every day, that we continue to love on that earth, that we continue to appreciate. Thank you for our breath. Thank you for another day. Thank you for the moon, for our grandmother moon that is shining on us, Creator, that we feel her light coming into our body, and that we illuminate with that love and with that medicine, Creator. I pray for her, Creator. I give thanks to all the elements. I give thanks to all the women and their families, that you protect their families, Creator, that you continue to fill their hearts with love, with prayers. I pray for more spaces like this, Creator, for more healing spaces like this, that they become accessible. I pray and I give this time to my sisters to pray in their mind and their hearts, knowing that our ancestors are here and that Creator is here, and they can hear our hearts and they can hear our prayers. I pray for those who are in transition, Creator, those who are sick, that they know they are loved and that you guide them on their road to Mictlan, Creator. I pray for those who have passed, that they know that we still remember them and that we love them, Creator, and they are with us always. I pray for the four-legged, Creator, that bring us so much joy in our homes. Pray for their health, for their safety. And whatever I forgot to mention, Creator, please know that I'm mentioning those who need those prayers the most, Creator. Pray for the healing of our communities, for housing rights. I pray for our health and for our abundance, Creator. I pray that we all get to see how blessed we are. Whether we have little, whether we have much, whatever we have, we are so blessed with everything that we have right now. Help us see that, Creator. Help us release what no longer serves us. May we all rest. May we all feel that love vibrate through our heart and our spirit and our prayer and our songs. Ometeo Tlazokamali.
Ometeo.
Ometeo. Yay. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Everyone, have a very good night.
Good night.